Jim Murphy, author of the book Inner Excellence, Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance and the Best Possible Life, joins me now here on the show. Your book blew up in my world because of Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown reading on the sideline of a playoff game. I'm just curious how that changed your life, if at all.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not often you get an NFL player reading your book on the sideline during a wild card game. So, yeah, my life is very different now. It's been a lot of interviews, a lot of attention, and so many people want to ask about my life, which is very interesting. But it's about the message. I'm just the messenger, and I think the big question is, what AJ was reading, is that helpful, and is something that I should read? And I think the answer is well, if you have any anxiety or you want to have more peace and confidence under pressure, then I think it could be very helpful.
Well, I have the book right here. I have been reading through it over the last couple of days, and I'm just absolutely fascinated by some of the material. I want to get to the details of the book in a moment, but the A.J. Brown thing fascinates me so much as well. Were you aware that he was reading your book prior to that being broadcast on national TV?
So I saw a photo of him on the sidelines in uniform with the book in his hand, but I had no context. I didn't know if it was a practice or what was going on. And then I was in Dallas in a hotel room leading an Inner Excellence retreat, watching actually Penn State play Notre Dame, a bowl game that had been a week or two previous. And then I saw on my phone all these texts, and they said, you need to check out the wild card game. And that's when I found out he's bringing it to every game, reading it between every drive. And so I found out along with America what was going on.
That's incredible. What did that do in terms of sales for the book? Could you give me a range of, did you see a spike after that? I would imagine you did.
It depends on how you define spike, I guess, going from 2 or 3 a day to 100,000 or so in a week. So yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That's incredible. I'm fascinated again by the content. I'm a junkie for sports psychology, so this book is right up my alley. What do you hope that an athlete, someone in business, somebody in my profession, where there is a performance aspect to what it is you're doing, it's not just athletes, but that's where a lot of our attention is focused. What do you hope that somebody in any of those spheres can get out of a book like this?
Yeah, so legendary Eagles coach Dick Vermeil said that if you want to really help somebody, it doesn't matter what they do, what sport they're doing, or anything. It's you coach the person first, then the sport, or then whatever job they're doing, and that's so true. That's what inner excellence is all about. It's training your heart and mind to have inner peace and confidence when so much is out of your control, and that's what America is like today. There's so much out of our control and so much anxiety and fear, and so inner excellence is about clarifying your purpose and how you want to feel and how you want to live and the person you want to become, and focusing on that and letting everything else be added to you.
You've dedicated a lot of time to learning how the best in the world perform under pressure. What is the most common action or attribute among those individuals?
I think the people that are most successful in any business, sport, life, they're willing to fail, they're willing to look foolish, they're willing to take risks and keep going, and they're not as tentative. I talked to Hall of Fame linebacker um, Brian Urlacher one time, and I asked him the same question, like, what's the commonality between the best you've ever played with or against, and everyone else? And he said, for me, it was just the ability to make a mistake and not let up at all. He said most other NFL guys, they make a mistake, they get a bit tentative, and I didn't do that, and so I think that's probably the big one.
How much have you seen the area of sports psychology and sports therapy grow over the years? It seemed like this was something maybe 15 years ago, a team here or there. I was a major in psychology, so I got my degree in psychology at UCF, and one of my internships was with a sports psychologist. And I remember how hard it was for her to get work for local teams, professional teams, college teams, and now it seems like every team, whether it's at the professional or college level, has a sports psychologist on their staff. It's become routine. Have you noticed that same thing? And when did that jump really take place?
Well, inner excellence is a little bit different than sports psychology. I use sports psychology with all my clients. Um, sports psychology focuses on the mind. Inner excellence, the belief is that your heart is the key to your life. Your spirit, your will, and your subconscious is running your life. We're far more than thinking machines, and so we got to get much deeper than sports psychology. Um, Anxiety has been at epidemic levels, especially the last couple of years, especially since COVID, and a mind with way too many thoughts from way too many concerns. We really got to narrow down the thoughts, way less thinking. And the way we do that is we clarify, what do I want most, and who am I? What am I here for? What's my purpose in life? And if you don't know your purpose, if you just say, look, I'm going to serve others the best that I can, even if it's my roommate, my neighbor, I'm going to do anything I can to help them move or clean their garage, whatever. If your purpose is to serve others, now you can be fearless, and you're gonna start to grow in confidence.
It's so much of that is based off of ego. I think a lot of people get caught up in how people think of them, how they think of themselves, how something affects them, and I think it only perpetuates that anxiety. And you wrote about that quite a bit in the book, how ego, self-centeredness, as you called it, creates that anxiety and fear that holds us back, or at least inhibits our performance, whether it's or not.
Yeah, that's for sure. So self-centeredness is the default human position, constantly thinking about ourselves. But the problem is it leads to fear. And our ego, we all have a mind that's always protecting, always threatened, and always comparing, never satisfied. And that's what really limits us. So we've got the three big challenges. We've got the overthinking, negative thinking or judgmental thinking, and the self-conscious concern for self, amplified by the ego. And so that's that's the biggest limiter to performance, in my opinion, is that lack of freedom. People are so afraid, well, what if I fail? And it's because our deepest need is for unconditional love, and to be fully known and fully loved. And our greatest fear is rejection. And so people don't want to take these risks that you need to be your true self, to live authentically, and to do something great with your life.
How big are you on the art of visualization, whether that's in the moment or before you go to bed? And is it different in those scenarios in the way that you go about picturing the sort of success that you want to achieve? Are you big on that?
Yeah, the mistake that most athletes make with visualizing is they only visualize positive things. George St. Pierre, mixed martial artist, world champion, Canadian, just like me. I'm dual citizen. He said that he would visualize 80% of his the things that were positive that he wanted to do and see himself doing and using his tools and moves, and 20% overcoming adversity. And so that's really important, because if you only visualize the positive, your subconscious may not connect it when it comes to the real thing. We need to make sure you feel the nerves, and feel the intensity of it. So your subconscious, when it gets there, it's like, oh, okay, I felt this before. And then the visualization can kick in. But being able to see yourself as doing things you've never done before, and feeling things you've never felt before, facing feelings that you've never had before, is really, really important. And so it starts with asking yourself, am I willing to have feelings I've never faced before? Am I willing to be uncomfortable am I willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable?
I've dealt with over the years, I've been in broadcasting for 15 years now, and I've had moments in and out where I felt tremendous anxiety in it, in doing this job, interviews, or I've got a big topic that I want to make sure I spit out just right. And what I has always been perplexing to me, and you actually tackle this in the book, which makes me feel so much better, so thank you, is that
Welcome.
this wasn't as big an anxiety or point of fear for me early in my career, when it probably should have been. It was years down the road when I felt like there was even a little bit of mastery, perhaps, in what I was doing, where these nerves, like I was brand new onto the scene, would pop up, and I would not know how to manage it because it felt like it shouldn't be there. So I would try and ignore it. Then it just gets worse. Can you talk about just the triggers that, and why it is that somebody that feels like they have put in the 10,000 reps can still feel that sort of anxiety over the simplest tasks?
Yeah, and so I just want you to know that this is common to superstars, celebrities. I talked to, especially now after January 12th with AJ Brown, a lot of people that are super successful, and they all have the same thing, that the fears. You think, oh, this person is a megastar, he's not going to be nervous, or he's going to be so confident, or she's going to be so filled with confidence, but it's not true. We're all human. We all have the same challenges. We all have a mind that has negative thoughts and limiting beliefs, and we all want to compare well and look good. And so everyone has the big challenge of lack of freedom, with this constant threat of social media and being judged. And so that's why inner excellence is so important. The number one goal every day is to learn and grow. And when you're successful, you can learn, but the power is when you're not successful. Are you willing to fail? Are you willing to look foolish and be embarrassed? And then if you're willing to do that, then you can grow, and that's when you can do something special.
Agreed. I have fallen flat on my face many times and still standing. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to that. I think we all have expectations for how things are going to go in any big walk of life, whether that's an interview or a big game or a big segment on a podcast or radio show like this. What is it about expectations that can create a stumbling block in performance?
Well, expectations by definition is a future thing that you don't have that you want. And so with inner excellence, we have this. My mom is full Japanese, and came from a samurai lineage, and so one of the things that the samurai used to do is they had this tool that we can all use. It, and the way it goes is you take a long, slow, deep inhale through the nose, and you say "I expect," and then you exhale and you say "nothing." And it's really that I have no needs in the next, any result or circumstance. I can handle anything. And so expectations are one of the greatest limiters to performance. And just like the score in golf, or the score in anything, you look at teams when they get down in basketball, the last, 2 minutes, then you see who has belief and who doesn't, because belief's what running your life. And are you willing to fail? If you're not willing to fail and look foolish and be embarrassed and all those things, then you're going to have a lot of tension and pressure, because you could do things just right and it may not go in, you may fail. And so it's really scary. But if you're willing to be embarrassed and to fail, then you can do something great. And expectations, I have a great friend, Teddy Scott, caddy to the number one golfer in the world, Scotty Scheffler. And he also does some coaching. And one of the things that he likes to do, and I think is great, is he's always trying to get their expectations to match exactly what they know they can do. Don't go out there saying, "Oh, I expect to do this and this," and say, "Let's go with what you know you can do, and let's focus on that, one foot in front of the other." And I think it's powerful. With inner excellence, we just want to get a little better every day, learn and grow. That's it.
As far as the athletes that reach out to you, would you say that it's in terms of the sport that they play, is it golf number one by a mile, because that's such a mental game? They're all mental games in their own right, but boy, is that sport ever played between the years. Is that the most common type of athlete that you hear from?
Yeah, that's for sure. It's kind of funny because I'd never watched golf. I was once a year, didn't play it hardly at all for many years. Now I love it, but back then, once a year player, and never watched the Masters growing up until I got there. And so, I grew up playing basketball, football, baseball, like most American kids, and played football and baseball in college, and baseball after that. And so, golf wasn't really on my radar. And then who knew that the vast majority of my clients, probably at least two-thirds, have been pro golfers over the last 10, 15 years. And you're right, it's because there's so much time between plays or shots, that they have all this time to think too many thoughts, and then the negative thoughts and judgment comes in, and self-consciousness. So yeah, golfers have constantly been a big part of this.
Well, Jim, I am only about 50% through this book, and it's already helped me tremendously. So if you think that it can help you as well, no matter your walk of life, I encourage you to get it. It is a New York Times bestseller, Inner Excellence, Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance and the Best Possible Life. If it's good enough for AJ Brown, it's good enough for us. Thanks so much, Jim. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.